life and prosperity. Now, when we come to a point where we talk about now getting back to the demonstrations, self-abductions, she's talking about self-abduction, abductions. And I'm talking about self-abduction can happen, can be a possibility. She's a lawyer. She understands that when you're looking at an issue and have abducted themselves and demanded for ransom. We have had these things taking place. How many people, how many lawyers have destroyed evidence when they know they're about to lose a case and just burn up the whole office? Computers are robbed. You just pay some guys, rob you, and then you say somebody was angry with what I was pushing for, so they stole all evidence I have, so I don't know what to say. Now, these are things that happen. And I'm not talking about lawyers as, I'm just using it as an example because she's in legal profession, she understands this, and any other Kenyan who has been there, we are their clients, we know that such things happen. Now, this is not about lawyers. What you're trying to say is that these things of inflicting yourself some pain so that we can empathize or sympathize happens, okay? So today, we are having the civil society, at the top of their voice as they used to at some point once upon a time in the 2000 between 2000 and 2012. They were so vocal, okay? But this is what the civil society does. It comes to Kenya, criticize Kenyans, and they're Kenyans themselves actually, paid to do that job by the West, the sponsors. They criticize their country, paint a wrong image so that their paycheck can come. Let me tell you, before we realized that the West was angry with the direction Africa and Kenya had taken business in terms of trade, when they took everything to the East, the West was angered, okay? When the Chinese came in, that's after around 2000. Now, when these kind of things happen, you could see them using their ambassadors, high commissioners, and all forces, presidents could actually attack Kenya and African countries so strongly because they know they were losing out, okay? Because there's a change of a mentality in the among the African leadership and among the Africans themselves. So what you're trying to say, civil society, I listen to them, yes, but I listen to them like any other person who is working for a salary. If I work for a media house that is having an inclination towards that direction, I can only say what the boss wants me to say because I need that salary. And that's how civil society works. They have their sponsors, they can say anything. The worst bit is that they are painting a wrong image to the government and to the people of Kenya.
Well, Sammy, let me just, before you even ask the next question, I mean, it is quite unfortunate when we get to the point of demonizing civil society, forgetting the role civil society plays or has played so far in where we are as a country, forgetting that even the constitution that we enjoy today was greatly pushed for, and I mean, some of the people who made some of the revolutionary, or rather proposed some of the revolutionary provisions in the constitution, came from the civil society community, forgetting how, when times are very difficult, that it is the civil society that comes through for us and speaks on behalf of the Kenyan citizens. When we begin to demonize the civil society space within a country, then we have lost it completely. That is when you know that things have now become, this is when you know that now every Kenyan needs to get to the point of fighting for themselves. Because the civil society space, much as there are those who are sponsored by the West and any other side of bigger, bigger economies to push for a particular agenda, there are genuine civil society organizations that genuinely fight for the rights of Kenyans today. Today, if my brother here is arbitrarily arrested and there is absolutely no one to speak for him, trust me, a civil society organization will come and speak for him, and I wonder if he will hold the same position he's holding today. So as a society, we must not get to a point where we are so sycophantic towards a government, forgetting the role of institutions that play a critical role in ensuring the rights of Kenyans are protected, upheld, and respected by a government that could turn rogue at any point.
Now we see that Azimio la Umoja leaders, let's start with Babu Owino. He was arrested at JKIA with DCI. His was clear, but his whereabouts were unknown for a
long period of time.
Let's now take a look on Maina Njenga. Maina Njenga, his brother, and I think one of his workers. They are nowhere to be seen. The police are not even talking about Maina Njenga. To make it worse, none of the Azimio leader is addressing Maina Njenga's issue. And yesterday his family were asking, where is Raila Amolo Odinga to address Maina Njenga's whereabouts. Now, we're also seeing that Mathare MP, that is Anthony Oluoch, is not to be seen. And my brother there was talking about the issue to do with self-abduction. What is happening?
I mean,
just to clarify before she
Yes.
she says it, I said it's part of what happens when such incidences take place. When you're considering the option, can be abducted by the government, by the police rather, can be abducted by self, organizing such a thing to take place. Self-kidnap has happened, and it has been there. But what you're trying to say is, let's exhaust all options, okay? And exhausting all options is allowing the police to say their bit. Like for instance, and I know we'll get there. When it was claimed, police are suspecting there could be more than one gun in the Jomo Kenyatta's house, that is Uru's son. She knows the law, and she knows how many guns one is supposed to own or to have, for self-protection, because she understands the law better. However, when the claim was made, it all went viral, and people began to stand and talk in defense until it was claimed, hey, 28 guns have been found. It's in public domain. Okay? Now, when, with due respect to your former commander-in-chief, it's not just Uhuru Kenyatta, it's a former commander-in-chief, to the police officers, the police force. They said, we were not going to put you into any shame, okay? They would have carried those things and taken them by themselves and also arrested the son. They said, this is a far respectable family. Kindly take these things to current police station by yourselves. Okay? So the other story that is being peddled around in social media and out here, it's in sympathy, okay? But not on facts. The facts are now being laid on the table. The police have released their bit, and the people who are good in taking pictures, they have taken their photos, they've taken their stories out. What we're trying to say is, that is one of the stories that should be allowed to be completed. Now, when we talk about abductions, have the police spoken about these things? Evidently, no. The abduction of Babu Wino, or the abduction of Maina Njenga, they haven't spoken yet, okay? Because it is within the investigation process, okay? We have seen this other bit, that it could be a form of machination against people who are against the government. But it is up to us again to say, hey, have we exhausted all options? Let's see what the government also has to say, but the government speaks after they have already have proof of investigation.
Yes. My brother here acts as if he's not a Kenyan. He acts as if he has never seen these things happening. He wants to paint a picture that he's hiding behind, let us exhaust all options. And especially when it comes to abductions, when in the process of trying to exhaust all options, people's lives are in danger. And I so passionately speak about this matter because a friend of mine in the last just before elections, or it was actually way before elections, disappeared. He disappeared and he was nowhere to be seen, and it's been almost a year down the line, more than a year down the line, and the guy has never been found to date. Mbinjiwe Mwenda, a security expert and analyst, just disappeared from nowhere, and it was claimed that the police were involved, and he's never been found to date. So when we come to the questions of where Maina Njenga is, questions of where Honorable Anthony Oluoch is, we as Kenyans must be concerned, because remember, these are our leaders. These are leaders who are either elected or nominated and represent a constituency of people that, as Kenyans, we should be worried, because if this can happen to a leader who is elected, who is respected, who is a high-ranking member of the society, what about you and I, who are common and ordinary citizens, who have absolutely nothing to our names, have absolutely no recognition anywhere that would serve as a form of protection for us? So we should be worried, and truly worried, where these people are. And for sure, I do empathize with the families that are coming out to say that, look, even the leaders don't seem to be caring or don't seem to be speaking up about this matter. And the same, mean, for me, I always say that regardless of whichever political leaning I am at, when something is right, I will praise it. When something is wrong, I will condemn it. It is unfortunate if that is truly the case, that Azimio leaders do not seem to have been speaking about the issue of Maina Njenga publicly, then it would be unfortunate, because he is one of them, you know, he's one of Azimio, he's one of the Azimio leaders. They should be speaking about the issue publicly, the same way they have been passionately speaking about the issue of Babu Owino's arrest. And what would make one see the malice in this government's arrests, or this kind of arrests that are taking place, is, first of all, look at how people, we understand the law on arresting of people, yes, that you should be arraigned at the nearest police station of where you have been arrested, meaning that Babu Owino should have been arraigned at the airport police station. There's a police station at the airport. If truly he was charged, if truly he was guilty of something that was reasonable in law, then he should have been charged at the airport police station. Why was he taken to various police stations, different police stations? Look at Gaucho. In the process of him being arraigned, being held up by the police, at some point he was actually seriously beaten up when he was in the police cells. So the manner in which these arrests are taking place, the arbitrariness of the nature of within which these arrests are taking place should lead you, a Kenyan, to be very worried about their own security as Kenyans, because the government is setting the precedence that, you know what, if you disagree with us in any way, we will arrest you. And for me, and it's not just for me, it is logical that when a government begins to arrest people who disagree with them, and plant evidence that is not even evidence that was there in the first place, this is a government that is scared, and is a government that is slowly deteriorating into a dictatorship. The question that Kenyans should be asking themselves is that, are we now getting into a dictatorship state? Should we now consider relocating from this country? Yes. Do we even have a country in the first place? In the case of Pauline Njoroge, I've heard her side of the story, and she says that the evidence was not even there when they were being arrested in the first place, that the evidence was planted much later after they had been arrested. So one should ask themselves, and we should be very concerned as Kenyans, even as my brother here is forcing us to look at and exhaust all options. The lives of these people are at risk. You as a Kenyan citizen, your own life is not, your security and life is not, your own life is not, security is not guaranteed, because if you dare go against the government, if you dare oppose what the government does, if you dare have a critical voice against the government, then what will happen to you as a Kenyan? We must be concerned. We must ask the whereabouts of these Kenyans and leaders without paying tribute to where our political inclinations lie.
Okay, you brought up the issue to do with the raid at Uhuru Kenyatta's son home that is in Karen. Yeah. Is it a way to get back? Remember, I think in a week's time, a week ago, that is